As a team at Cradle Games, we have a lot under our roof. We have our highly anticipated VR and PC crossplay title, Cradle of Sins. King Flocky World, a multi-platform RPG game with revolutionary movement and mechanics. Streamball.live. Streamball is a groundbreaking streaming platform, allowing the viewer to interact with their favourite streamers' games and transform their current streaming experience. So let's dive in for a little bit more information on each adventure.
My role within the studio is to make environments that are both entertaining to look at and to traverse around, as well as making sure everything runs smoothly in both VR and for the PC port of the game. Something that I think makes a game environment memorable and enjoyable for the players is where you can literally go everywhere you see. What I mean by that is you end up with, like, some games you'll have invisible walls and places you can't get past, and then other games you have these large, massive open levels and you're sat there thinking, this is a really good skybox, and then when you get down there you realize that's completely playable. Things like that are what make games enjoyable and memorable, and that's the kind of thing I try and incorporate into a lot of the things which I make. I try and make sure that everything you see within a level is a place you're physically able to go. My favourite environment within Cradle of Sins has got to be within the Mushroom Belly Bog level. It's just it's a massive landscape around it with these 3 rows that lead to like this central castle, and you can very clearly see how within the story of that level that there's been a fight that's been happening from these camps pushing towards this castle, and you've got bits of debris from the damaged catapults and ballistas, and the closer you get to the wall you start to see the damage that's been done, as well as the wall that is on fire and the caved in at the top, the damage to the main gates and all of that stuff. You can also see like the shattered temples around and everything, and I really think that it really feels like you're playing on a battlefield where a massive fight has happened. And when that's properly fleshed out with the Conquest PvE AI to it and the loot and everything to it, you're going to be on a massive battlefield fighting for control to be able to breach into this castle, and then after that you're able to physically go inside the castle. If you're able to incorporate the level of detail into the designs of things like that, you're able to reach a balance perfectly between the two, of where it's very, very balanced from a gameplay perspective, but equally very entertaining for VR. And just more specifically, one thing that's really, really brilliant between the two is just making sure that the VR players are able to be accessible no matter where they go, compared to the PC ones, where you're able to dash, double jump and all of that on PC. Being in VR, you're able to jump and climb, and making sure that you can get to the same areas just in different ways, you know? Same answer, different method kind of thing. One of the reasons I think players should play Cradle of Sins is what I said before about everywhere you see being accessible. If you can see a house on the side of a mountain, keep walking, you'll find your way to get to it. There's also a vast amount of weapons within Cradle of Sins, both for half around, full around, conquest, bongo. There's multiple different game modes, as I just said, span across a bunch of different environments, and it truly is a massively changed game to what it was when we showcased the game several years ago. And I think that just looking into this will completely change the previous opinion you had on Cradle of Sins. This is going to be something cool. Save me.
At the moment I'm mainly just working on weapons, putting all the new weapons into the game, both for VR and PC. So while weapons being immersive is a bonus point, I believe that the most important part is just making sure that it's intuitive and fun to play with. We could make something super realistic, but it might not be as fun to shoot or attack other players with. So just making sure that it's fun and interesting. So one main problem that we had with animations actually is trying to make it so that with certain weapons you kind of reach your hand out. We wanted to actually give the animation a reaching out feeling, but that doesn't work really well with motion tracking, as you can like sometimes see through the arm and it glitches out a lot. But with sound and VFX, that's been pretty easy to actually implement and try and help make it more immersive and feel good in the hand and make you feel powerful as you're attacking people. So we've made it so that all of the weapons interact with the environment quite a bit. We have the metal chakrams, which ricochet off of different objects and enemies. We have the God Axe, which you can throw and it will get jammed into either people's body parts or the different environmental objects around the place. With the God Axe that I've been working on, we've been getting mechanics for actually swinging the axe to make it actually move at the speed that you are shaking your hand. We also have the electric chakram, which does constant searches for players to try and electrocute them, and the metal chakram constantly hitting enemies and ricocheting off of them, which has been quite experimental, trying to figure out how to do it optimally for a multiplayer game. So with the chakram, we have different tiers that you can choose as you're playing through the game to have a better experience or something that meets your skill level a bit more. So obviously you've got the boomerang, which as you throw, it will pretty much like try and home into enemies if you're not that good at aiming or something. Same with the metal chakram, that will ricochet off of objects and automatically home onto other enemies. But then you have things like the God Axe, where you can perfectly throw and it will jam into people's bodies before calling it back to throw it again pretty fast, which obviously you'd need a high skill level to actually aim it properly. So we've had some technical challenges with actually making weapons throwable. Some weapons you don't actually have to do that with, you just press the trigger and it will shoot forwards for you, but stuff like the God Axe and the boomerang, you actually have to like shake the controller to get some momentum for it. It's been quite a challenge to get a good feeling for that, deciding the speeds based off of how fast you're moving it, making it so you can't do quick flicks to cheese it and get really good damage, as the damage and speed is all based off of the speed that you swing it at. I'd say that the weapons that I'm working on currently are the most experimental and probably fun to play with out of the whole sandbox of weapons that we have. There's a huge variety between the different chakrams that I'm making, and obviously once I start moving on to more weapons, we have a lot of experimental stuff for people to try out and see what we like and decide what we should actually keep in the sandbox. So people play testing it and trying it out would be great.
So I started as a VR developer, and I started prototyping different technologies and how we can implement those in game, and I pivoted towards AI and how we can integrate the world and wonders of AI inside the game, including OpenAI APIs and different AI functionalities. I also prototyped a lot of things like pixel streaming setup and other very groundbreaking sort of technologies we are integrating in the game. And my role is basically to test the feasibility of a breakthrough idea and to create prototypes and test its overall feasibility inside the game. When it comes to NPCs, we are using large language models, that is OpenAI APIs, to actually create a whole ecosystem in which the LLM understands what sort of behavior it has to exhibit. We have a variety of factors which we can include, which includes mood, tonality. It includes actions part. It includes guardrails. So there's a host of things which we have implemented. So when it comes to AI, our game Cradle of Sins actually has a lot of possibilities, and as you have seen, there has been a massive hype cycle around AI, and there are a lot of companies investing in large language models, and there's a lot which needs to be explored. We at Cradle of Sins have been pioneers in AI implementation when it comes to inside game environments. So we have been working on smart NPCs which can follow you around, which will remember what you talk to them, and which have a sense of understanding of the world itself. So it's a really good companion for your game. And when it comes to you making it making those NPCs your enemies, that is also something which is pretty good task we can execute inside the game. Yeah, the biggest challenge which I feel when it comes to AI is making sure that the user experience is good. And as I say, idea is really good, but the execution is king. And when it comes to implementing AI, execution and user experience is something which we are experimenting a lot, and we are executing a lot. Because when it comes to, for example, there are questions around will all players will be able to listen to AI conversations, or who will be able to talk to AI at what specific stage, how AI chatbots are gonna work in the multiplayer systems, are some questions we need to answer. We are also in consideration of a few things like how we are going to make sure that the game still remains competitive despite of giving powers to AI, because we want to make sure the game is fairly competitive, and how AI is going to adjust its competitive edge in terms of how it will make sure that the game is not just biased towards one player who has like really amazing AI NPC who can do and execute things very easily. So yeah, and the second task which I feel which is really hard is there are some technical challenges in terms of the back-end networking process of how GPT is supposed to be integrated, and how people are supposed to train it. But we are working on those challenges, and I feel we have the solutions, and soon we will be able to execute them.
I am a gameplay programmer. I've worked on things such as NPCs, weapons, full game modes, but currently I'm working on our new project, which is Stream Balls. We want to break the mold and do something different that a lot of companies haven't done in the gaming and streaming space, because there's a lot of new tech which has been untouched. There's a lot of challenges that arises from it, so there's a lot of satisfaction from getting these things up and running and working the way that we want to. It's not one system, it's several systems put together. We obviously have our game engine, and then with our game engine we have pixel streaming, and then top of our pixel streaming we have our SFU, and then tying all that together we have all our AWS servers and our IVS and everything for our streaming. So yeah, it's just not one thing, it's loads of different complex systems together. It can get quite complex at certain points. I think it's a fresh new take on the whole streaming and gaming genre, which enables viewers different ways of interacting with your favorite streamers. I think this has a lot of potential. I do believe it's truly unique and will revolutionize the gaming and the streaming platform as a whole. We've had a lot of ups and downs building our prototype. We've learned a lot, and we've learned how far we can push it and how far we can test it. So yeah, I think it's pretty solid so far.